Hi, hello everyone. This is super weird. Hi, my name is Jay Eppelman, and I'm a back on my feet volunteer. And today we're going to talk a little bit about resume and interview skills, part one. So normally when I do this training, I'll go through. It's about a little less than an hour, and I'll go through kind of resume tips. And then before an interview tips, social media, accepting and declining a job. Today, we're just going to focus on the bold there in resume tips. So a little bit about me. So again, my name is Jay. I was born and raised in New York City. I've been volunteering with Back on My Feet since 2015 with Team Times Square and then Team Claire in LA. I have about 10 years of human resource experience with different companies in various industries. So music, property development management, healthcare, startups, nonprofit. And I currently work as the human resources manager at the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. So we are a nonprofit that focuses on helping grow clean technology startups. And we do that through a variety of ways with the city of LA Department of Water and Power, and really just trying to grow clean technology, not just in California, but the entire country. And then as far as my recruiting experience goes and why I'm talking about resumes and interviews is one of my main functions in HR has been recruiting, full cycle recruiting. So that includes resume screening, phone screens, candidate selection, in-person interviews, hiring, onboarding, etc. And the reason why I started this training 7 years ago or so is that the interns at the company I was working at, I would look at their resumes and there would just be a lot of easy easy fixes or mistakes, and this training originated as my pet peeves for recruiting and then kind of morphed into something more. And I've done this with Back on My Feet. I've also done this training at various colleges and career fairs as well. So when we talk about a recruiter who's looking at your resume, there could be a variety of people who are looking at your resume, and they may be looking at your resume for 5 seconds to 5 minutes. Some managers really like to get in there and read every word. Others will know after a couple seconds whether they should keep reading or not. So who's looking at your resume? So we have the recruiter, and they may be a company employee, or they may be an outside recruiter helping the company. Human resources, so that they may be the people overseeing the recruiting process or assisting the hiring manager. For my company, we're about 45 people. I'm the only HR person, so I handle all the recruiting. Then the hiring manager may be looking at the resume. They're the supervisor for the role, so they're looking for what they need. They may not have a lot of recruiting experience. They may just only look at resumes every time they need to. So they're really just looking for the experience they need for that role. And then an applicant tracking system for especially larger companies, Walmart, Target, NBC, Amazon. It'll go into their applicant tracking system, and oftentimes they'll be able to source resumes based on the language used in those resumes. Yeah, so as I said, the viewer or the reader may spend 5 seconds to 5 minutes. I'm pretty fast at going through resumes. After a lot of years of experience, I can kind of parse through very quickly and kind of decide, should I show this to the hiring manager? Should I give this person a call? Or is this person not going to be moving forward? And one of the things I immediately know, so the formatting, is it easy to read? Can I find the information I'm looking for? I'm also looking for relevant experience, so the years in each role and title, and then I'm also looking at accomplishments, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. But when we're looking at resumes, we're really just deciding yes, no, or maybe, and that might go into a pile to look at later on. We'll most likely not read everything word for word, so that's why you want to make sure that you have good spacing in the resume, everything's easy to find, and that whoever looks at your resume can pick out what they need in order to recommend you to move forward. Yeah, so general resume tips. So without exception, except a few exceptions, resume must be one page, and I cannot stress that enough. Unless you have a lot of experience or you have a lot of research papers or credits, really the resume has to be one page. Any jobs you had that maybe not relevant for the role, you can leave off, or you can maybe just mention in a timeline, but you don't need to include every single job you've had since you were 16. Um, a cover letter should be fairly short. You don't need a whole page telling your life story. Some recruiters and hiring managers don't read the cover letter. They're just trying to scan it to see if you have a basic what your basic communication style is. So very short, 3 paragraphs. The intro paragraphs, like saying who you are and what role you're applying for, and making sure the role is specific to that company. Um, Relevant experience, and of course, including your contact info and how to contact you should they like your cover letter and resume. Um, for the resume itself, the objective and summary, I'd say this is optional, especially if you have a lot on your resume. As recruiters, we know the objective is to get a job. If you want to summarize yourself, try to keep it in 1 to 2 sentences, no more than 2 or 3 lines. Because again, me as a recruiter, I'm usually not reading the objective or summary. I'm really just looking at where's the person working now, and how long have they been there. Also to PDF, always send your resume in PDF, not Microsoft Word, just because the formatting could change depending on how you upload it or email it to someone. I've opened up resumes where it'll be 2 pages with 1 or 2 lines on the second page, and it's very clear that was not the intention. So make sure it's in PDF. There's a lot of, on Google search, there's a lot of free online tools to convert a Word document into a PDF that you can send out or upload into job applications. And then formatting, you want to make sure it's very succinct and consistent. Use bullets, not paragraphs. Just making sure you're using 2 to 3 bullets, or in some cases 4 bullets for your main accomplishments while you were in that job. And then no pictures or excessive graphics. So unlike this picture here, do not include a picture on your resume. Job searching in America means that you have a right for the employer not to know anything about you other than your qualifications. So there's no need to include a picture. I know some candidates who are from overseas or applying from overseas will include their picture, their birth date, marital status, everything, but that is not the case here in the States. And then you want to make sure you're also using margins and white space. And this is very important because you don't want the resume to look too cluttered. Again, you want to make it very easy for the person to get what they need in 5 to 10 seconds, and to see if they should keep reading. Also, too, a lot of hiring managers will discount a resume that doesn't use proper grammar or consistent grammar and has misspellings. And yes, this word is misspelled for a reason. But yeah, so any words that are misspelled or any grammar that's not correct in the cover letter, a lot of managers are taking this as you putting your best foot forward. So if this isn't clear communication, then they don't believe that you may communicate clearly in the role. So make sure that you're rereading your resume, you're having other people look at it, spell check it, having other people look for inconsistencies and formatting, and just making sure it looks clean. Because this whole thing is about how you can present your experience in the best way possible, so that the recruiter, the HR person, the hiring manager is really just focusing on what's on the page and not how it looks. In terms of formatting, so contact info at the top always. So include your name, at least for address, include the city that you're in, your phone number and your email. I've received a lot of great resumes without contact information. It's super frustrating because it's very difficult, obviously, to contact the person if I don't have their number or email. Make sure the email is also professional. So don't use your university one or your old Hotmail or Yahoo account. I've gotten resumes where the email, it was from an email address, or the email address listed was hotlips97. So yeah, just make sure it's a very professional email address, because you will be judged on that if it's weird. For experience, you want to make sure you have the company name, the job titles you had while you were there, the dates, and make sure to include the month and the year. I've seen a lot of resumes without a month, and that could be a little confusing to know how long a person was there. And then you want to list your main responsibilities or accomplishments. Based on the title, I can a recruiter or hiring manager can kind of guess um, uh, what you did there. So you really want to list the accomplishments. So if you were a Starbucks barista, again, it's pretty clear what your responsibilities were. But if you were employee of the month, or if you worked at a flagship location, um, or you were there for a long time and you gained management experience, that's what goes in the accomplishments section. So you don't focus too much on responsibilities. Really just focus on the big things of what set you apart from other people at that company. Um, and then you want to put your most current recent experience up first, so that again, you're making it very easy for me as a recruiter um, to know where you're currently working, or where you most recently were working. In terms of education, you want to include any degrees or expected degrees. Don't worry too much about graduation date. If your graduation date is in the future, then list it. Like, you can write expected 2021. And then you want to list maybe honors or activities, but um, don't list too many, just because, again, as a recruiter, I'm going to be focusing on experience, not as much on the education. If you've been in school recently, then these become more important if you don't have a lot of outside work experience. Um, but as you gain more experience, you'll remove the honors and activities. Um, and then it's personal preference, kind of where you want to put experience and education on your resume. Some people have experience at the top, some have education at the top. So it really depends. If you've been out of school for a while and you have more work experience, then definitely put the experience first, because that's what's going to be more important than the degrees. If there's little or no work experience, highlight your school achievements, and your leadership and volunteer positions. Um, and this is just an example of not a great resume. And I'll just leave this up for a second. So um, if you look at it and read it, you can kind of see that it's got a weird formatting. The font's weird. There's no email address. There's repetitive information. There's an objective and a summary. The past positions in the companies are slightly unclear, so you want to make sure that the formatting is nice and clear. And also, too, there's no months included. And then this example is what I would say is a decent resume. So this person is a recent grad. Let's pretend that we're back in 2013 when this resume was made. But yeah, so recent grad. So their education is on top. Their work experience is very clear to read. Their name and contact information is up top. They have a skills section below, and that could be recommended as well if you have things like Photoshop or HTML or other computer programs. And then as this person kind of grows in their career, they're going to remove the restaurant experience, unless of course they're going to stay in the restaurant field. But looks like they want to go more for media. So as they gain more experience, they'll kind of remove these bottoms, and they'll save room for other experience. So they'll keep their resume one page. And again, later on, they may remove their awards and activities. But everything on this resume is pretty clear and easy. If I'm a hiring manager and I want to see where they worked, I can see that. If I'm a recruiter, and I want to look at what their education is or expected graduation, again, that's very clear, and what they were studying. So this, I think, is just a very nice, clean resume. Yeah, and so next time I'll talk about what to do before an interview and then the phone screen. Thank you all very much.